Good evening, wherever you are in the world. As you're coming in, let me know where you are in the world. I am back in Tampa, Florida. I'm so excited to be home for a few days. Today, I have a special guest. We have special guests every Monday morning on the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. But today, we're going to be talking about something that I think, well, no, I don't think, I know is probably the most impactful thing in our business, and that is email marketing. Unfortunately, so many people get wrapped up in how to do it right and to do it right. Many marketers will tell you, any successful marketer out there will tell you that the money is in the list. And yet, if the money is in the list, then why don't we focus on it more? I'm just saying, I'm calling this all out on this right quick. But as you guys are coming in, like I say, just give me a shout out. Where are you in the world? A couple of quick things before I bring our special guest on. I'm super excited about this topic because, like I say, if for those of you who know me at all, have been on my shows before, you know I love helping people make more money in their business. That's like my jam. And today's topic is exactly about that. It's like, how do you write emails that are going to get people to spend money with you, regardless of what your price points are? Is that something you want or need? Then you are in the right place. Hey, Alice, good to see you this morning. London, Ontario. Awesome. So glad you're here. Oh my goodness. Good morning, Phyllis. Out riding your bike and listening and watching. Don't watch the show, okay? Just listen because I don't want you like running into the stop sign or something. Not that I've ever done that, but I'm just saying. Um, Welcome, Paul. I'm so glad you're here. We have Mohammed here as well. Excellent. All right, so a couple of quick things before I intro you guys to our special guest today. I want to remind everybody that if you know someone that's going to get value from this today, like if you know somebody who wants to make more money in their business, then like sprinkle this out into the world or tag them and invite them on in because I promise you, you're going to get immense value from our special guest today because this is her jam. This is what she does every day. She has an agency that does this for other people. So it's going to be a super value-packed discussion about email marketing today. All right, that's one quick thing. We love to love around here, so tap the hearts or whatever. We love to love, share or sprinkle, as I say, this out into the world. We are also doing a couple of giveaways today, and we're going to give away something today that we've never given away before. Some of you know this. I started a new store, Kim.store, not long ago, and we've got a couple of things that we're going to give today that we've never, like I said, done before. One is this Fight for Your Fairy Tale notebook. It's got just blank pages, which makes it perfect for journaling. And we're also going to give away this Fight for Your Fairy Tale mouse pad. So let me tell you, so I don't know about you guys, but mouse pads, we need them, right? But yet they get kind of gross. Like, see, this is my old one. It's kind of nasty and gross. So wouldn't it be nice if you had a nice fresh one? So somebody today is going to win the Fight for Your Fairy Tale notepad as well as the mouse pad. So 2 pads, if we will, today. It's going to be our giveaways. And the way you win, if you want to win, if this is something you want, then definitely participate because we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to win. And the way you win is dropping in your aha moments. So what's an aha moment? It's like, wow, I didn't know that. Or in some cases, y'all, we know things. Somebody's told us about this before, or we've heard it before, or we know it. It's like sometimes even when we are teaching other people to do certain things and we're not doing it ourselves. Just saying, those are moments where you hear something you needed to hear at that moment and it's an aha moment. Drop those in down under there and we'll put you in the wheel of wow. That's what we call it. It's at the end, we'll spin the wheel and we will pick our winners. So definitely drop in your aha moments. Okay. All right. So Stu. Hey, Stu. I just got home yesterday, but I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for the lovely mug that you sent me. We have Malaya. I love that name from Northeast Texas in the house. Um, and Marley. Good morning, Marley. New Jersey. Excellent. Okay, so let me tell you guys a little bit about our special guest today. I'm going to pull up her bio on the screen so you guys can see it. But Mara is known to many as the world's best female copywriter. She's the owner of the Direct Response Copy Girl copywriting agency. So this means that a lot of what she talks about today, she does this for others. So she not only teaches this, but she also does it for others. And she specializes in writing sales copy for business owners in the coaching, speaking, and e-com industries. She is also a business strategist to some of the most recognized top earning influencers today, personally trained by the world famous direct response copywriter and her daddy, Bill Glazer, who's well known. If you don't know him or never heard of him, just Google him. I promise he is amazing. He's a legend in the space, and she learned at his knee. She has been featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, the Huffington Post, the Baltimore Sun, and many other major news outlets. So y'all put your hands together for our special guest, Mara Glazer. Hey, Mara.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So happy to be here with all of you today.
I am so excited about today's conversation because you know it. We say it all the time. The money's in the list, right? I mean, I'm just curious because I always say this. Most of my sales come from my list, not from social media directly, normally. Like I don't just post on social and, a bunch of sales come in. Most of my sales come from my list. Is that what you think holds true for most marketers? I'm just curious as to what you think about that.
I think it's definitely one of the best strategies for most marketers right now. And for myself, certainly, it's the number one way that I get clients aside from referrals.
Yeah.
And the mathematics of it just makes sense. So I was running some math numbers this morning to share with all of you, because I don't know where your listeners are at in your business, but let's just say, and I want to share this so that everyone can understand how impactful email marketing can be. Let's just say you booked 2 sales calls a week from email every single week. That means you had 8 sales calls a month. And let's say you close about half of them. That means that you get 4 new clients every single month. And that means that you get 48 new high ticket clients every single year. And that's a 6-figure business or more right there. And so the money is in the list. And that's why I'm so excited that we're going to talk about email and how to charge what you want with it today.
What I love about what you just said is, one, it's broke down into what all of us feel is doable. Like, can you send a couple of emails a week? Mm-hmm. Can you generate, what was it, eight leads a week, or what? I forgot.
Even if it's just 2 sales calls a week, that means you can walk away with 4 new clients every month.
Right. We can do that, right, y'all? We can do that. That makes it so doable. I think a lot of times we think 6-figure businesses are outside of our realm of possibility. But when you break it down, Mara and I were just talking about this before, and, a 6-figure business is not that difficult to achieve. It's just repetition. So let's talk about this real quick. I want to back up. We jumped right off the bridge there, right? We just jumped right in. But can you tell me a little bit about how you got started? I know let me back up just one more step. You were raised in a family where your dad was well known in the copywriting space. And to this day, he still is. He's a legend in the space. But did you grow up thinking, hey, I'm going to be a copywriter?
No, I grew up thinking I was going to be a famous fashion designer. And I went to school for that. And then I moved to New York, so I used to be a miserable employee to the New York City fashion industry. And I say miserable because making $35,000 in the Big Apple should honestly be illegal. In fact, my rent on my apartment was more than I was making at the time. So if you can do that math, it didn't work out, right? And so I was living in New York, and because of the stress and tension of my job, I basically had a boss that was like the devil wears Prada. So if you've ever seen that movie, you know exactly what it's like. Because of the stress and tension of my job, I actually ended up tearing my spine. I had a spinal fusion in 2003. And then because of the pressure and tension and stress I was carrying in my back, I tore my spine. So I couldn't walk for about 3 months. The furthest I could go was from my bedroom to my bathroom and my bathroom back to my bedroom. I couldn't drive. I certainly couldn't work. And there was really not that much that I could do. And it was in that moment that I knew that I could not have a 9 to 5 job anymore. And I couldn't work for somebody else anymore because I needed the freedom to take care of myself when I needed to. So I called up my father, as Kim said, his name's Bill Glazer, and he was the owner of a company called Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle with his co-founder, Dan Kennedy, another marketing legend. And I called him up and I said, Dad, can I come work for you? So, because for me, that was the safest next step to becoming an entrepreneur and having some freedom in my life at the time. So the first time I asked him, he said no. So I asked him again and he said no again. And in that moment, I remembered a saying that my father used to say around the dinner table when I was growing up, which is Glazers never give up. Glazers never give up. So I asked him a third time. So he said, Mara, if you really want this, if you really want to move back to Baltimore and join the family business, you need to earn it. So I spent about 6 months working for him for free, doing whatever he would ask me to do, writing copy, marketing plans, proposals, whatever he would ask me to do, I would do because that's how bad I wanted it. And meanwhile, I also kind of started this little side business doing image consulting for men to attempt to pay my bills, which still wasn't happening at the time. So finally, after 6 months of that, he calls me up and he says, okay, Mara, if you really want this, if you really want to move back to Baltimore and join the family business, you need to understand 2 things. So one, you will be working harder than you've ever worked in your whole entire life, which is true. My dad worked me like a dog. I don't even work with my dad anymore, and he still works me like a dog. And number 2 is you will be heading up our social and alternative media marketing department. And I didn't even really know what that was at the time. I'll never forget walking into my very first day of work, and one of our employees at the time, his name is TJ. He looked down on me. He's a big guy. Looked down on me. He put his hand on his hip, and he had this little sassy attitude. And he said, "So what do you know about social media anyway?" And so at the moment, I told him the truth. And all I knew how to do was how to invite my friends to my parties and post the drunk party pictures the next day. And that's all I knew how to do. So I spent the next months inhaling everything I could get my hands on about making money with social media. I followed Kim, and how I got introduced to Kim. And I implemented everything I learned. I tested it. I tracked it. I tweaked it. And we did an additional 7 figures, an additional $1 million in sales tracked back to social media in less than 278 days. And that's when I earned my right to learn how to write direct response copywriting from my father. So I'll never forget the day he walked into my office. He said, "I'm busy. Our copywriter is busy. You are up." And so he handed me a project. I had no idea what I was doing. I did my best. I walked down to his office with my email that I had written. And Marley grew up in Baltimore. Hi, Marley. And so I walked down to his office with the email that I had written, and he whips out his red pen and he marks it all up and he tells me what I did right and what I did wrong. And he sent me back to my office and I had to fix it. And I went back to his office where he gave me another red pen copywriting critique, which is what I call it to this day, over and over and over again. For 3 years, we did that. And that's how I learned how to write direct response copy. And then when my father sold the business, I remembered that I am not an employee type. So I went on my own again and started creating marketing campaigns and writing copy for other entrepreneurs in all sorts of different niches and industries.
That is such a powerful story. I'm just curious, like, it's just because just me. But what was his reluctance, do you think? Or has he ever shared? Or was it more about just making sure you didn't, it wasn't just something he handed to you. You wanted it. He wanted to make sure that you had fire in your belly, if you will. I mean, has he ever told you why he was reluctant to let you come to work for him?
Yeah. So the number one reason he was reluctant is because he didn't want a working relationship to hinder and alter our personal relationship. And he wanted
Yes.
to make sure that we still had a beautiful relationship as dad and daughter. So that was the first one. The second one is he actually went to go work for his dad after college. And a lot of the employees at my grandfather's company felt that there was a lot of favoritism, and he didn't want to put me into that environment. And
Mhm.
so that's what happened. But
Well,
you know,
he
otherwise
sounds like an amazing guy with a lot of character.
I
Because it's hard when you have children. You want to, you want to impart everything you can and help them as much as you can. But I almost feel like, the struggles that we go through in life is what ultimately makes us, and so it sounds like he understood that. And now you've got a foundation that earned, to use his term, and it's been an incredible journey, it sounds like, for you. Okay, so a burning question for those that don't understand the terminology. What in the world is direct response copy, Mara?
Okay, great question. So direct response copy.
Sorry, hang on, hit the wrong button. There we go.
This production is amazing, by the way. Isn't the show awesome? If you're watching right now, pop in the comment and tell Kim how awesome her show is, because it's so great. So direct response copy is every single word that you use to sell or deliver your product, your program, or your service. It's every single word. So when you think about that, what's really important to understand is that your words, your direct response copy, have a very big responsibility to bear. In fact, I think it's one of the most important jobs or the most important skills that you can have inside of your entire company. Because when you think about it, if the way you explain your products and your services and your offers isn't clear, then your ideal clients and prospects aren't going to understand what it is that you're selling and you're offering. And if they don't understand it, they're not going to buy it. And if they're not going to buy it, you're going to have no sales. And if you're going to have no sales, you're not going to make money. And if you're not going to make money and you're not making money, you're pretty much toast. So direct response copy are the words that we use to sell and deliver our products, our programs, and our services. And typically, actually, not typically, 100% of the time, direct response copy leads to a call to action, leads to you being clear about what the next step is, whether that's to book a sales call, which is kind of what we're talking about today with the emails that we're talking about, whether it's to buy a product online, whether it is to opt in for a freebie, a lead magnet, or something like that, which is very different than content, right? Content is more so stories and more so someone sharing their thoughts and their feelings and education and trainings and things like that, where it typically doesn't lead to a call to action. So direct response offers, direct response copy is copy that leads to a sale or to a call to action.
Such a great explanation. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor because Mara, sorry, I have a niece called, her name is Mara. So I'm always like mixing it up. So, but our, Mara was just talking about the show and the production. So our sponsor for this show is Restream. Restream is um, basically is a tool, a web-based tool, desktop tool, if you will, that allows you to go live in multiple places at the same time, and gives us the opportunity to pull up comments on the screen. You can add your own branding, but one of the things that's super powerful about them that's brand new, and it is something that is a feature that no other tool out there has, multi-streaming tool anyway. They have a new resource or a new feature, that's the word I was looking for, called Pairs. And it allows anyone with an account to add your content to their social platforms. So this is super powerful because anybody, as long as they have a link, they can start broadcasting your content on their social platforms. So you can have a group of people, or if you will, people are always looking for great content. People share other people's content all the time. So, connecting and getting into other people's communities is a powerful thing. And they give us a great resource, a great discount for my community, 25% off for life. So follow the links in the area down under if you're interested in checking them out. I just want to give a quick shout out to them. And you can go to kimgross.com/restream, but all the details are and I think Rhonda just popped them in as well. So, okay. So you just talked about something I love. You made the distinction between what content is and then what is or what copy is as it relates to sales. So, and I know you have a couple of different businesses. You have your agency, and then you have an e-com business, and I know you do some stuff with your dad, and then you, I'm sure, help a lot of other businesses with a lot of different lanes, if you will. Is it different? Is copy different for, I mean, obviously words are different, but the way you deal with the different lanes, if you will, different types of businesses, is it different that for each of them, or is there a formula, if you will, for how you manage any type of a client or any type of business that you're marketing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the skill of direct response copy doesn't change whether you are writing about your e-commerce business or whether you are writing about your service-based business or whether you're writing about your coaching or your consulting type business. So your actual skill when you're writing about your business, no matter the niche or the industry, is the same. In fact, if you're really great at it in one industry, you're probably going to be really great at it in another industry. However, here's the differentiator. The types of copy that you need in e-commerce are different than the types of copy that you need if you have a coaching and consulting business, and they're different than the types of copy that you need if you have a service-based business. So for example, let's say you have an e-commerce business, you're going to need product pages that maybe work on your Shopify website. You're going to need advertorials that promote your products through articles that are also advertisements. Whereas in a service-based business, you're not going to need advertorials. You're probably going to need a really great video sales letter, or you're going to definitely need emails to promote your services to your audience, right? So what I mean by this is that getting really great at direct response copy, once you've got that skill in one niche, it's transferable to the other niche. And at the same time, you get to learn new types of media that you get to create as a copywriter. Now, I'm not a big fan of formulas. I don't think that there's one size fits all formula for an advertorial. And I don't think there's a one size fits all formula for an email. But I do think that it's really, really helpful to look at formats and formulas that have worked and that have proven conversions, and to use those as inspiration as you are creating your own. And that's exactly how I do it. So I keep in my inbox, I have something that's called email inspo and copy inspo. And every time I see something that I think is a really great copy piece, I move it into that folder. And then the next time I'm going to go write an email, or next time I'm going to write a sales page, and let's say I have writer's block and I just don't know what I want to talk about, I'll start to look through there to get inspiration for formatting and for stories and things like that.
So good. So I have, and I just want to know this myself. I'm just going to be honest. So lots of times when and by the way, I forgot to say this on the front side. If you guys have questions, please, please, please ask, because we'll try to get as many questions in as we possibly can. But the question I have, and before we dig into the email part of this, and you just mentioned it, you talked about a video sales letter. I think a lot of times that's VSL is definitely a digital marketing term, right? I noticed when I started to try to, teach that, I have a course called VSL to Profit. And it was the fastest way that I have found for the average person to put together a sales page, right? Because we're not copywriters, most of us. I mean, you are, but the rest of us, we're not copywriters. So how do we turn that around? So my question to you is this, is what have you found in recent times to work best? Is it the VSL? Is it still the long form sales copy? I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah. So all of it is still working, is my thoughts about it. Advertorials are still working. I've got one converting at 12% right now. Industry average is 2%. Long form sales pages are still working. Video sales letters are still working. Webinars are still working. Email's still working. It's all still working. Here's when it doesn't work. It doesn't work when you give up too soon. It doesn't work when it doesn't work out of the gate and you just throw it to the side and you swear it off for good. So the best, highest converting emails, webinars, video sales letters, advertorials, all of that type of stuff are the ones where the marketer, the copywriter, the business owner didn't give up on it when it wasn't working from the get-go. I have a particular campaign that I created. It was a webinar funnel to teach women how to flip houses. I've created several webinar funnels to teach women how to flip houses. This particular webinar funnel, the first time we launched it, completely flopped. I don't think we got one sale. If we did, we got one. That's not so great. So I went back to the drawing board and I completely rewrote the entire funnel from start to finish. And then the next time we launched it, it started to convert. We started to get sales. It had a above industry average conversion rate. And had I had given up on it and said, oh, webinars don't work, webinar funnels don't work anymore, then we wouldn't have had the sales and seen the growth in that business that we did. So in my opinion, it all still works because I see it work in the copy that we create for our clients. And you just can't give up on it. You have to commit to it. One of my mentors, he says, build the bridge. So what that means is be so committed to that one funnel or to that one campaign that you build it in its entirety. You get it to convert in all of the components before you build another bridge, before you create another campaign. And so it all still works. You just need to be committed to the outcome.
Oh my gosh. I hope y'all I think that I'm hoping right now that just like went into your ears and it's imprinted on your brain right now, because that is super gold. I find that so many of us are so committed, emotionally committed to the outcome sometimes when we put that thing out there, and then when somebody nobody buys, you're like, oh my gosh, like, it's you take it so personally. But it takes iteration. I think marketing is a constant iteration. You just have to figure it out until it gets to a place where it's working for you. I love that. I love that you also said that about the bridge. Like, build the one thing, iterate it until, it's super, it converts, it's creating what you want it to. But it's not one and done, right? That's the big message. It's not, it's a
Yeah.
constant thing.
Yeah. And also the thing about that is that when you are focusing on building the bridge, that means that you're also committed to finishing that one thing before you move on to another thing. So what my dad has always said to me, I like to quote my dad a lot because he was my number one teacher. And so what my dad, one of the Bill Glazer quotables is, if you do too many things, you never do anything with excellence or success. If you do too many things, you never do anything with excellence or success. So let's say you're building one campaign over here and one campaign over here and one campaign over here, and you've got a side hustle over here. None of those things are going to do really, really great. They might do okay. They might all do okay. But if you focus on building the bridge first, finishing that bridge, getting that one producing before you build the next one, then you'll have two great funnels. And then when those are great, you'll have a third great funnel. And so if you do too many things, you'll never do anything with excellence or success.
Oh, golden words for sure. I struggle with that so hard. But it's so true. So true. I will own it. Okay, so we're going to start digging. I know we've laid a lot of groundwork and we talked about some amazing things so far, but let's get into it a little bit more. So, and we're going to be talking about emails here. We're going to be specifically, that was their big topic, because at the end of the day, that's what is going to get money rolling into your business. But why is copywriting important anyway? Can you give us like three ways or three reasons why copywriting is like, we need to focus on it and really get excellent at it?
Yeah. So here's one reason why copywriting is so important. And it goes back to what I was talking about before. Copywriting is really important because it's the exact words that you use to sell your product, your program, or your service, and deliver your product, your program, and your service. And if those words, that message isn't clear, nobody's going to buy what you're selling. And if you're not selling anything, you're not making money. And if you're not making money, you're in trouble. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I found that when you've got the right words, that when you've got the right message, it can 10 times or more your sales, because then it's clear to your audience what you're selling, why they need it, and why they need it right now. And the third reason that copywriting is really, really important is because it allows for you to create in a way, a sales presentation. Sometimes it's a mini sales presentation in the form of an email. Sometimes it's a larger sales presentation in the form of a webinar, right? But it allows for you to create a sales presentation and walk your prospect through a process of taking the next best step for them, because that's what sales is to me. One of my great friends, Erica Martin, she taught me that. She taught me that really a really great salesperson, their job is to help their prospect figure out the next best step for them. And so you can do that with your copy to help your prospect figure out the next best step for them and then lead them to your call to action so that you can increase your sales. Personally, I found that when I have written like a really killer sales letter or really killer video sales letter, and then I am going to add an additional sales channel to my sales funnel of on the phone sales, my on the phone sales conversion rate is much higher because I was able to formulate how I want to talk about and sell that product or that service. And so if that's something that you do on this call, let's say you utilize phone sales in your business, which I think every business should do that, by the way, no matter what business that you're in. Getting really good at direct response sales copy to figure out how to sell your product, your program, or your service is also going to help you to increase the conversion rate on your own, on the phone, face to face, or now in this world that we live in, Zoom sales world.
So good. So we talked about the copywriting piece, but again, from an email perspective, what gets people to make that decision? Is there like something I mean, obviously it's the words, but one of the questions we just got, and you may actually speak to this in a moment, but one of the questions we got is, how long should an email funnel be, in your opinion? One that nurtures a new email subscriber. And let's break that down just a second, maybe elaborate just a little bit more on Elizabeth's question is, if you're trying to get people to book a call with you, how do you do that? Through a nurture sequence, or how would you set that up or recommend that people go through that process to get people on the phone with you via an email campaign?
Okay, great question. So there's two ways to get a prospect onto, actually there's three ways to get a prospect from prospect to on the phone with you through email. Okay, so the first way that you can do this is exactly what Elizabeth is talking about. So creating an automated nurture sequence. So somebody comes into your funnel, maybe they opt into a lead magnet or something like that, or maybe they inquire on your website about working with you, something like that. And then they're put through an automated email process where they get emails dripped out to them until they schedule. Okay, so then the question, to answer Elizabeth's question, and then I'll come back to the other two ways. To answer your question, Elizabeth, how long should it be? So my answer will probably be a little different than a lot of other copywriters' responses to this. What I would do is I would start by creating 5 really, really great emails that you would drip out to your prospect that enters into your funnel. And then what I would suggest that you do is you watch the statistics on those emails and you keep adjusting and tweaking those emails until they convert to the place that you want them to convert, and then keep adding more to the back end of them. So after you get your 5 working like really great, you feel super good about them, then maybe you want to add 2 more. And then once those are working really great, maybe you want to add 2 more. And I would keep watching your statistics. And once you get to the point where absolutely nobody is scheduling calls anymore, that's when you want to cut it off. So that's the first way that you can book sales calls with email. The second way that you can book sales calls with email, which is how I started, is I created a specific campaign that I sent out to my email list in order to invite them to apply to have a strategy session with me. And because I did it as an application, and you don't always have to do it as an application, but because I did it as an application, and because I said my audience at the time is 10,000 people on my email list and my social media, and I'm only making 17 calls available, and we're closing applications on this date, we had a flood of applications come into our pipeline. We had hundreds of applications in just inside of 1 week. And so that's a way you can do it too. You can create a specific time sensitive campaign with a limit on the number of calls that you're taking to create a flood of new leads coming onto your calendar at any given time. And you can choose, if you get more applications that are qualified above the number that you advertise, you could choose to take those calls too. That's up to you. Okay. And up to your ability and availability within inside your organization, depending upon if you have sales help or not. And then there's a third way. There's a third way, which is cold email. So this is really great for you if you don't have an email list and you don't have an email database. When I first started my copywriting agency, I did not have an email list. So what I did have was the ability to write really great messages. So I crafted a little couple paragraph blurb. I went through all of my Facebook friends who would either be a great ideal client for me or know people who would be a great ideal client for me. And I sent them that message. Within 2 weeks, I got my very first retainer client paying me $4,500 a month without any email list. And they're still a client to this day. And we still write for them every single month. And now my agency has grown and I've got writers on my team, but we still write for them. And so those are the 3 ways that you can use email in order to start booking more sales calls and start charging what you want.
That is so good. So good. So, I think the next question that begs the next question is, we talked about the emails, but you got to get people to open the emails. So that's always, one of the other, let me back up for a second before we go into getting people to open the emails. One thing that I love that you said, and I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. It was like this neon red thing in my head. I was like, I'm not sure we're doing this. Which is, we do it on other things, like, we do it on sales pages or funnels or other things, but which is the iteration that we talked about. Like if something's not working real well, like where is it broke? But you talked about this from an email perspective, like, tweaking your email copy until it's performing at the level that you want it to. So if you have sent out an email and you're like, well, that didn't work, then go back to the drawing board. Like, right? I was like, oh my, I don't know that we're doing that super well. So that was something that one of my takeaways from what you just said. But question, how do you get more people opening those emails? Thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I have a couple ideas about it. So one idea about it is to write really great subject lines, right? Really great subject lines. So what I want to challenge you to do is every time you write an email, brainstorm a whole bunch of different subject lines that you could use for your email. Don't just go with the first one that comes to your mind. And then start testing different subject lines to see what your audience is resonating with. Some of my best subject lines that have the highest open rates are personal type of subject lines. So, hey, saw this on Facebook and thought of you, or hey, you were on my mind today. So those work really great for me. But there's all sorts of formulas and formats that you can use for subject lines. And I would just ask yourself this question when you're choosing your subject lines and writing your subject lines: would I open that email? If you were to get an email with the subject lines that you just brainstormed, which ones would you open? And I would start there. So that's one way to do it. Okay. So another way to do it is to send more email. The more emails you send, the more your emails are going to get opened. So you can write more emails to send to your audience. I found that the more emails we send, the more money we make. The more emails we send, that should be one of the hashtag ahas. The more emails we send, the more money we make. So send more emails. Sometimes what we'll do is, if we have a really great converting email, we send out an email and it converts super well, we will resend the same email to all of the people who did not open the email with a new subject line. So that's a little side tip strategy that you can use too. And then the third thing is, if you have an email list and an email database, I want for you to start to create I call it the friend tour, FRIENDTOR, the friend tour vibe with your audience. So here's what I mean by this. So imagine for a moment, if you're like me, like the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you turn over and you look at your phone to see who emailed you. Really bad habit. You probably should not do that, but that's what I do. So when I look at my email inbox, first thing in the morning, I've got sales emails. I've got emails from my favorite clothing stores. I have a little shopping addiction. I have bills, and I've got maybe some emails, maybe one from my mom and like maybe one from my best friend, right? So which emails are you most typically going to open first? For me, it's the ones from the people that I love, the ones from the people that I care about, my friends, my family. So what I want for you to do is I want for you to start to create that dynamic with your audience where they look at you as a friend, but they also look at you as a mentor too, because we want for them to take your advice and we want for them to take the next step and we want for them to book your sales call or buy your product or do whatever it is. So I like to kind of play like the 80-20 rule. So like 80% friend, 20% mentor. So that's how we get to the combination of the friend tour. So the way that you do this is you talk about your life, you talk about what's going on, you share your personal experiences, you tell vulnerable stories, you use emojis, you use slang, you put pictures of yourself, you you link to videos of yourself, and you start to create that engagement of your audience thinking of you as a friend where they want to know what you have to say and they want to know what's going on in your life. And you'll start to see better engagement and more people opening your emails as well.
Such wicked smart advice. I think that that's the missing component for many marketers today, is that they're not really, opening up, if you will, about the things that matter to people. And, we, at the end of the day, when it comes to making sales, we have to matter to our person in some capacity. Whether we have a product or a service, it has to matter to them, before they're going to spend their money on it. And, sometimes it's life, sometimes it's food, sometimes it's like random things. Honestly, it's just a crazy dynamic. And yet one of the things that I think we don't do very well is, instead of thinking about the person on the other side of that computer screen as a dollar sign, to think about them as a friend, that you're sitting down and having coffee with. And when you write that email, think about it like in that capacity, like who's that one person on the other side of the table or the other side of the computer screen in this particular instance. Okay. So I love too, and I agree on the subject line. I do that all the time. Carol just said, one of her aha moments was, would you open the email? Mm-hmm. And I do this across the board in my marketing, like, because my person is a previous version of me. So I'm like, would I open that? Like, I'm not sure I would open that. So think about it through the lens of like, what would attract you when you're trying to craft your emails?
Yeah. Well, let's even just like take that a step further. So you said something really important. You said that your ideal client is the older or a previous version of you, right? And so one of the things that I really teach on is that if you are like Kim and your ideal client is the previous version of you, when you are writing your emails, I want for you to tap into your past to connect to your audience's current pain. I'm going to repeat that. Tap into your past to connect to your audience's current pain. So what I want for you to do is think about what your fears were, however many years ago, when you had the problem that you now solve for people. Think about what your desires were, what your dreams were, and specifically think about what would have had to have been said to you to get you to book that sales call. What would have had to have been said to you to get you to buy that product? What would have had to have been said to you to get you to sign up for that service? And so as you're writing your email, keep that in mind. And then when you're done with your email and you put it to the side for a little bit, you go for a run, you go binge Netflix, whatever it is, come back to it later before you send it out. And as you're rereading it, ask yourself, if someone would have sent this to the previous version of me, if someone would have sent this to the previous version of Kim, would I actually sign up for this thing? Would I actually go book that sales call? And if the answer is no, you've got to make some adjustments. And then if the answer is yes, go for it, send it out and see how it does.
Yeah, I think we forget that, and honestly, we're super guilty of it from a knowledge perspective, I think, because once we know something, we forget that we once upon a time did not know it. We forget the struggle that we went through to get to where we are. And, you got to honor that journey for other people because that's how we create sales. So okay, so do you have any like a list of to do marketing, like, what are some must do's, if you will, when it comes to email marketing, um, versus, because I think that's like super powerful. I mean, you talked about a few things like, making them your friend, but what are some other things that you might want to, impart to somebody who's just getting started on this journey?
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So I'm actually going to repeat that first one because I think it's the most important. I would write all of your emails as if you are writing them to a friend, not just so that you can create that engagement component that we talked about, but also because I know a lot of you probably sit down to start writing an email and then you find yourself staring at a blinking cursor on your Google document, asking yourself, like, what the heck do I write about anyway? But you don't have that anxiety about writing emails when it comes to like writing to your best friend Carrie or writing to your best friend Erica or whatever that is, right? So I want for you to actually get into that mindset so that you can get rid of a lot of that writer's block. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is I really want to invite you to add your personality into your copy and to just not be afraid to be yourself. So I find that a lot of the emails that I read, especially from people who are just getting started with writing their own copy, they're too formal, they're too corporate, and your audience isn't going to connect to that. So I want to invite you to be yourself. So if you use emojis when you write, use emojis. If you use abbreviations, use abbreviations. If you use, like, sometimes I think like you know, like use Valley Girl slang too much, like totally, absolutely, for sure. Like I use words like that. So I use that in my emails. I personally, like, I use curse words in my emails because that is my brand voice, right? So you be yourself in your emails. So that's number two. Okay. Number three is always be clear. Always be clear. A confused mind does not buy. A confused mind does not buy. I have found that some of my best converting emails are literally an email where I tell someone that I am inviting them to sign up for this. Here's what it's about, and here's how to schedule a sales call. Now, that doesn't mean all your emails can be like that. You need to get creative in some of your emails. You need to mix it up. But you one of the surefire ways to start booking sales calls is to just be clear. So make sure that you always have an email just like that, where you're literally saying, I'm inviting you to this. Here's what it is. And here's how to book a call. And then make sure in all of your other emails that you are being clear as well. If your audience doesn't know what you're offering them, they're not going to say yes to it. And last but not least, oh,
Sorry,
can I
go
add
ahead.
one more? Can I sneak one more? So a lot of copywriters won't say this. They'll say that it's all about the copy. It's 100% about the copy. Okay, I'm saying that's a myth. That's a lie. So here's what I want for you to think about. If you were to get an email in your inbox that was just like Arial font, 12-point font, all black text, it would look so boring, right? And you would be like, I don't want to read this thing. It looks boring. The message is probably going to be boring and you'd probably delete it. So I actually think it's 50% copy, 50% design. That's my thought. That's my philosophy about it. 50% copy, 50% design. So what I mean by that is use bolding, use different fonts, use the italicizing feature, use different sizes, include pictures, include videos, get a little creative in your emails. As my dad would say, get outrageous with your emails, because if they don't look interesting, nobody's going to read them.
So good, y'all. So if they don't look interesting, and nobody's going to read them. So the first touch point, like I like in this, it reminds me too of Facebook ads. Like, right, the first touch point is the image. Again, first touch point with an email is the subject line. If they open it and it's not interesting to them, they bounce. Like, right. So there's a combination style for sure. I love that you talked about the design element, because so many marketers don't use any, like, to your point, they just use the straight up, you know, right, left justified text, and it's just blocky, and it's hard to read. Okay, so we talked about some must do's. What are some must don'ts when it comes to email
Ooh,
marketing?
must don'ts. Okay, so the first must don't is don't skip it. Don't skip it. So probably the biggest disservice you could do to yourself is to watch this show today and then not use email in your marketing. So don't skip it. Try it. Even if you just send one email a week, which would kind of pain me a little bit, but even if you just send one email a week, you'll be doing way better and way more than if you sent none. So don't skip it. Okay. So the next must do not is to make your emails boring, make them corporate. Do not do that. Do not make them look boring. Not make them sound boring. That is like email suicide. Do not make that mistake. Oh gosh, let me come up with one more do not. So I would say, here's one of my do nots. A lot of old school copywriters and old school marketers, they teach to inflict fear, to inflict messaging that creates pain. They sometimes are very pushy in their emails. And to be honest with you, none of that stuff feels good to me. Right. And I imagine if you're watching this, like if you're following Kim, you're probably the type of person that's like, none of that stuff feels good to me either. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to buy from an email where someone was mocking me for the decisions I've made in my life. Right. And so what I want to challenge you to do is to not do that, and to come from a place of inspiration and come from a place of believing in your prospects that they can achieve the goal that they want to have, and come from a place of rooting for them and being their best friend. And so don't do the old school way, the way that feels bad and gross and yucky and like just no bueno. Do it let's even call it the new way, right? Like this is the new way. It's to inspire your audience, it's to believe in them when they can't believe in themselves, and to show them what is possible for them through the product, the service, or the offer that you're making to them with your call to action.
Oh, so good, so good, so good. So that begs one last question before we choose the winners, and everybody, we tell everybody how they can connect with you. But this is a passion question for me, because you just touched on a lot of my triggers. I'm sorry. But should women market differently than men? We talked about bro marketing a little bit before we got started today, but it's such a real thing. My friend Molly Mahoney I think she calls it Maserati marketing. Same concept, like, right, where it's like they're in front of their fancy houses and their boats and their cars, and it's not, it feels yucky, right? So should we as women, and I think I know the answer, but I'd love just a straight, like, just tell us, like, be totally honest, like, should we market differently?
So I think that you should market how it feels good to you.
Ooh.
So I don't know if it's a difference between how a man markets or how a woman markets. I think you should market how it feels good to you. I would think about how you would want to feel if you were buying something like this, or back to what we talked about is tapping into your past to get to your audience's current pain, or to tap into your past, to get to your audience's current pain. Like tap into your past of like how you would have had wanted to receive this message. How would you have wanted this offer to have been made to you, and market in that way? So do it in the way that feels good for you. You do not have to do it in a way that's pushy, or in a way that gets people to drum up their biggest fears and pains. Like you don't have to do it that way. And there's proof of that because there's so many people not marketing that way. Kim, right? You all know Kim. You all follow Kim. Kim is like not that at all, right? Kim is all about loving on you, providing value, believing in you, allowing you to see what's possible for yourself, right? And it works, right? There's proof in that. And Kim, so trust in that it works. Trust your intuition and your gut. And I promise you that you will find the right people that resonate with you. and they will be better clients for it because they're coming in because they're amped up and they're excited and they want to create big new dreams and transformations and possibilities in their life. And they want to see that come to life. And they're not trying to like dig themselves out of a hole, or like they're not in a place where they're feeling really yucky about themselves. So all in all, everyone wins.
Yes, I so love that. There to your point, and I love that you made this. So I thank you for that. Is it, it doesn't have to be men. Hey, I'm a man, so I'm going to market this way, or I'm a woman, I need to market this way. It's more about just being authentic and how love up your people. I think so many times I think there's, everybody tries to sell a formula for email marketing. Like, okay, this first email needs to be about this. The second email needs to be this way. And the third one, that's where that fear factor comes into play, I love that. I love that you just talked about, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be formulaic. It just needs to come from a place of love and service. And I think if we can do that, lots of things magically happen. Okay, so we're going to pick our winners, and then you guys, I'm going to share how you can connect with Mara and learn more and more about her, because she's, like I said, I told you straight up from the get-go, she was a gold mine. Okay, so one of our winners today is Marley, won the Fight for Your Fairy Tale mouse pad. I'm using mine right now. You're going to love it. And then let's see, our second winner is, oh, yay. So Amy McNaughton, you won the Fight for Your Fairy Tale notebook. If you'll go over to kimgarst.com/winner, share all of your shipping details. We'll get those out to you guys ASAP. Okay, so Mara, where can people connect with you? I do have I'm going to put it on the screen right now, a link that, but where else? Like in social, where's the best place for people to reach out to you if they're looking to connect with you?
Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to share this. So if you actually go to the link that Kim shares on the screen right now, kimgarst.com/Mara templates, you can download 8 of my very best email templates to help you fill your calendar with lots and lots of sales calls. So what I'm doing is I'm giving you some of my best, highest converting templates that you can edit up and tweak for your own business, and then send them out and start booking calls. So we can make everything that we've talked about today super, super easy for you. You can also find me at maraglazer.com, and that links to all of my stuff. All of my links for all of my things are at maraglazer.com. And then you can search for me on Facebook. I use Instagram, but mostly to post pictures of my really cute French bulldog puppy, or to post pictures of my biceps, because I just finished 75 hard. So you can always find me there. My my username is OHeyMara _OHHUYMARA_. But there's probably not a lot of copy information there.
Okay, so she's right. She has an adorable puppy dog. So y'all know I'm a super freak when it comes to fur babies. I love fur babies. When you first got him, like when he was just a puppy, we trolled your feed. We're like, look at all these cute, pictures. Just wanted to kiss that little face. And you said something else, like the 75 hard. I keep seeing this everywhere. I'm like, I need this.
Yeah, I just finished it about 2 weeks ago, and I've been relaxing ever since.
Yes, I don't know where I saw it, but now that I've seen it, I keep seeing a lot of people talking about it. So maybe we need to maybe I need to do that. I'll have to Google that. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much. I want to say thanks to not only Mara for being here with us and sharing all of her amazing knowledge with us, but also to you guys that are here with us live, watching, or even listening on the replay. Thank you. I know time is our most precious commodity. And when you spend time with us, we appreciate you so much for that, for giving us that gift. So take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Definitely connect with Mara, because she's, like I said, you're going to be so blessed by the connection. And we will see you guys next Monday, same time, same place. We're going to be talking about podcasting next week with a special guest that I'm super excited to have on. So we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Stay safe. God bless.